Hello again and welcome if you're new. In today's video, we were spending some time out in the garden. It's been severely hot this summer, and so we haven't been out here all this much, probably in the last month and a half. But today it rained. There was thunderstorms that came through, so in this video it rained for this day, and that rain, I guess, just gave me a whole new level of energy to just get out here and do something. I was feeling really discouraged because the garden was just drying away in the heat of the summer, but I am so ready for a new season. So something I started by doing, I'm going to start prepping the garden so that I can plant for the fall. I started removing all of the vines that grew up onto this trellis because I was ready for them to be gone. And I went ahead and thought about what I needed to do to get this garden in order for the fall season. And one major thing is to add some nutrition back into the soil. So I plan on buying some compost so that I could put some compost down into the soils, and I'm considering what kind of amenities I would need for this soil. I honestly, I know a little bit about amending soil, but not that much. So if anybody has some suggestions, that would be awesome. But yes, today we spent the day taking off all of these vines and just reevaluating, and we just did this while it was raining out, and when the sun came out and it got hot, I was done. I did plant some seeds a while ago, but some of them came up, but it was just too hot. The weather was just too bad, and then on top of that, the pests, so they just didn't make it. So I just gave up on that for the heat season, and then wanted to get some new seeds in the ground for fall. While I was pulling down all of these vines, I was thinking back to kind of how this season went because I was extremely discouraged and extremely frustrated this season because I felt like there wasn't as much produce or fruits coming in as I would like. The pests were kind of out of control, and there was just so many things I felt that was going wrong. So I was getting so discouraged. And something since I was, that was my expectation that I wanted the fruit to come in and the vegetables. I forgot to enjoy the process of gardening. It's just part of the process. There is a lot of learning that needs to be done. And that was like a big thing that came to mind for me while I was doing this is how it was so difficult for me to enjoy the process because I was waiting for the fruit. I was waiting for the vegetables to come in, and they weren't coming in as prolifically as I would like. So I was having a hard time enjoying it, but that's not the point all the time. Sometimes it's just about enjoying the process of getting outside, enjoying the greenery, enjoying the elements, enjoying just being outside and letting it improve my mental health rather than discouraging my mental health, Yeah, that was a big thing. Is like I was getting so discouraged. I was feeling like maybe I just need to stop. Maybe this isn't for me. And that thought is not right. I I'm learning how to enjoy the process of things even when things aren't going like I would like or aren't turning out the way I thought they would. There is so much awesomeness and joy that can be found in the areas that we least expect it if I would just stop worrying about what the outcome is and instead just enjoy the process. So I don't know if that makes sense, but that's just something that I was thinking about. I noticed that a lot of times within the season that I was taking this perspective that I was failing somehow, that I wasn't doing something right, rather than viewing it as a learning process and knowing that I'm learning things. I just kept feeling like I was failing, like I was a failure, and that made it so discouraging to even want to try, because I had this perspective that I was the one who was failing at what I was doing and not viewing it in a positive light, in the form that I am learning, that we're learning new things as we kind of go through the season, and that I'll be able to try again. It's not the end. Something major stood out to me about myself during this season is how I have such high expectations for myself and that I can't obtain them. So then I just beat myself up rather than, being understanding with myself. So that's something that kind of jumped out at me that, I don't know, I guess I didn't really realize it. So my goal is to, I guess, let go of the expectations that I have for myself and just to start to enjoy the process, just to go along for the process and to stop putting all these, I don't know, these parameters on myself. Another thing that came to mind while I was doing this is as I uprooted and took off these vines and slowly unwinded them, I felt like that was what the Lord was showing me in this season, is that I'm holding on to dead things and I'm not uprooting things that don't belong anymore. And that's something He's working with me on, is removing the dead things so that new things can grow, and uprooting things that don't belong so that there's room for good things and new things to grow. And that was just something that brought me so much joy thinking about that while I was doing this. I just felt that so strongly, is there's like dead things in me in my life that just need to be uprooted, need to be unwound, and it's a process to take all these vines off of here, to pull them up out of the ground. It's a process and it hurts. It's not very comfortable, but it's a process, and when the process is done, then new things can grow. And that's an awesome thing to think on. I had got to this point, I got pretty much everything off. There was a couple more vines on the other side, but I was just going to come back to that later because it was starting to get hot out here. The sun had come out and the humidity was really high, so it was getting hot and I wanted to be done. So this is the pile that I ended up with off this trellis. We still have a couple things growing out here, which I'm not going to mess with. But this is just a little bit of an overview. We still have our kale. The Swiss chard is still there. We have these cherry tomatoes, these hybrid sweet peppers. This celery might come back. We have some green onions, and then just a ton of the vining up on the fence. But that's it. That's going on in here. So the rest of this footage is actually footage that I had recorded about 3 weeks ago. I never posted it because honestly I was just feeling so discouraged and kind of embarrassed to even express these struggles, because at this point I felt like everything was going wrong. But here is the culprit of a lot of the struggles I've been having this year, is these squash bugs. I had posted a while ago about my cucumbers yellowing before they were growing on TikTok a long time ago, and a lot of people kept saying like it's possible that somehow the cucumbers are crossing over with the zucchinis, and I just didn't understand how that could happen because they were fairly far away. But also I felt like there was a deeper issue. And here is the deeper issue, is these squash bugs that were over on the zucchinis were killing off the zucchini plants, but they also came and they killed off the cucumbers and the cucumber plants because I wasn't able to notice them in the cucumbers quite as easily with the zucchini, but the cucumbers started to die off well before the heat came through. And I just didn't understand. At this point, you're seeing the cucumber plants after, the super hot heat already killed them off. But I was having these issues for a very long time. This wasn't a new issue. And I just didn't understand what was happening, with my limited knowledge, I guess, of gardening and whatnot. I just didn't understand what the problem was, and I just was feeling like such a failure. And truthfully, I was feeling like such a failure. Someone had suggested this concoction that I'm using here in this spray bottle, which I was using for a few weeks at this point, with some neem oil, some what was it? It was the cayenne pepper, some water, and there was one other thing I don't remember at this time. I'd have to look. Oh, I think some dish soap. So I would mix the neem oil with a little bit of dish soap, a little bit of the cayenne pepper into some water, and I was spraying the plants with it, but it was just not doing enough. And I think I just kind of started doing it a little too late. So at this point, I had already all of these cucumbers were dried out from the heat of the summer, so I just pulled them all out. I wasn't trying to deal with them no more. I put a little bit of this mixture into the bucket, and every cucumber or wherever I was finding clusters of the squash bugs, I was just dropping them in the solution in the bucket so that they would hopefully die. Because I just didn't want them to spread. At this point in time, I was still hopeful that some zucchinis might grow, because I did plant some. They were slowly growing, so I really wanted to get these squash bugs under control. But, I mean, later on, I learned that that was not really an option. The squash still ended up dying. The zucchini still ended up dying. But I didn't know that at this point, so I was just hopeful that if I would get them under control, that I would be able to still grow some things, but it didn't work out. And so, a lot of these frustrations is what started building up this deep discouragement that I had. And I don't know, this whole idea that I was doing something wrong rather than, I don't know, just learning, I guess. I have such a small space to grow, so whenever something went wrong for me, it kind of felt like the end of the world a little bit, because there's a limited time, there's limited space. So then I was just, I don't know, I was blaming myself rather than just accepting, I guess, the fact that it went wrong. And that was just an unhealthy mentality. And I noticed that that's something I do from time to time. So that's something I'm working on. And so we're going to start this over and try again. So I went through the process of pulling up all the cucumbers. I went through the process of making sure that this area was clear. There's still some morning glories growing up here, which I haven't decided to pull down yet. There's some zinnias growing, which at this point they're kind of really they're really dried out from the sun, but they're still growing. I might go ahead and kind of trim them up to see if they'll give me some more flowers, but I don't know. They might. I'm trying to decide what I want to plant on the both here for the vines and then also up on the arch. I do know I want to plant more green beans, pole beans, because we did really enjoy getting some of those. I'm thinking I'm going to go ahead and plant some more carrots, and other than that, I'm not sure. I did record a clip at this time expressing my deepest frustrations with this season. I didn't share it, however, so I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and give you this moment to have some insight of my frustration, my angers, and because I never shared it. So here goes. This is how I was truly feeling at that time. Lately, I've been feeling extremely discouraged. Oftentimes when recording, you want to show kind of the best of the best. And this garden season has just been really difficult. Yeah, this garden season has been brutal. Last garden season was brutal also for, I think, just different reasons. And I don't know, it's really difficult to feel like I'm really accomplishing anything. It's just really hard to deal with the issues when it's so miserable and hot. It just last year the garden was struggling. One, because I got it started too late. Two, because the heat. And then three, in big part, was because of just pests coming in and just destroying various plants, which last year's pest issues were with aphids. But this year, my pest issue has been with squash bugs. They have completely overtaken so many different various parts of this garden. They destroyed my squash plants, which we pulled out last time, and put some new ones in, and they're growing. But the squash bugs are already back at trying to destroy them. Almost all of my cucumbers have now died because of the squash bugs and the heat. They're just a combination of the two. Yeah, been feeling very discouraged. But I know that this is not something that you can fix quickly. It's a work in progress all the time, and that's such a hard reality to understand, because it feels like there's always so many odds against you to try to make sure that things just don't want to work out very nicely. And this year my enemy is squash bugs. Last year it was aphids. And I don't know, I guess I'm just not very good at considering the threats and being proactive, and that's something I'm going to work on. I'm getting showered in bubbles.
Do you like those?
Yeah, I like the bubbles. They're cool.
They're so cool too.
Yeah.
They change color.
Mm-hmm.
They change our shade.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the colors our.
So yeah, I'm struggling right now to figure out what exactly to record, what to show you, because I feel like it's kind of just a bit discouraging right now, a bit. I don't know, I don't feel like I have all that much to show, but at the same time, okay, maybe. But at the same time, it's like, there's still a lot of things that are happening. I'm getting discouraged. So, I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to accomplish something, but I'm just going about it all wrong. Is kind of my view, but I don't know. The discouragement has been real. So, that's something that I'm just trying to get vision and clarity on, is kind of what direction to head in, kind of getting an idea of what I want to do, because I'm just so frustrated on so many fronts, and I find myself wanting to avoid the issues rather than deal with them. But not dealing with issues is what causes disease, so to speak. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's just a season or if it's just kind of how life is right now. I'm not really sure what to expect. But yeah. It's the middle of July right now, so I know that has a lot to do with the kind of struggles I'm
having is because it's just summertime is a rough season for any garden, which is unfortunate. I feel like it's going to improve come the end of August, into September through fall, hopefully to start being able to start a new season of crops, because I'm not sure what to plant right now because of how hot it is. I just feel like things are not growing very well, but I also feel like I just haven't been doing a very good job at coming out here and dealing with the issues at hand. Like, I know something that I could improve is that I can come through and put some liquid fertilizer down just to kind of give some things a little bit of a boost, but I've just been really tired. It's been really hot. Coming outside has been really difficult at all. And I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of things that I just haven't been able to deal with because of it. So it's just, I don't know, summer is just one of those seasons where it's like, I feel like it should be a happy season because it's so hot, but then it just gets so filled up with discouragement and other things because of how hot it is. And it's just like, it's such a busy time too, because you're always trying to like spend time with people and do things, but I don't know. Like I said, I feel very discouraged, and I'm not exactly sure what I want to accomplish. So, yeah. So, some things that I've done is to help fight off the squash bugs and just pests in general. Somebody recommended to put some neem oil with some cayenne, I think cayenne pepper, and a little bit of Dawn dish soap just in a spray bottle and spray things down with it. And so I've been doing that, and I think it's helping. I mean, I put it in the spray bottle and I spread some things down, and then I ended up getting it on my skin and not in my face a little bit, and it made my skin and my face hurt. So I can only imagine that it's doing something good towards the pests that are just beating me down. So somebody else recommended to plant some marigolds to help with different pests, which I got some marigold seeds, so I'm going to go ahead and plant some marigold seeds and see what happens. I'm not exactly sure. I just had so many hopes and dreams and plans, and now that the summer's here, it's just, they don't seem as possible right now. So I don't know, maybe they're just something that'll come later in this fall season, or something that'll come later in next growing season. Something that I think too, I don't really know how accurate it is, but from what I understand, this year and last year have been affected by the El Nino years. And so I feel like that could be part of what's happening, like why it's just been so difficult these last 2 years to actually have a good garden season. Because I feel like the first season, so 3 years ago, the first season that I planted here, when I didn't even do all this, it was just, I just threw seeds in the ground, and I feel like they just grew so much better. And so I'm just wondering what happened. I'm wondering what happened, because I feel like some of it might be my fault, but I don't know. The seasons have just been so brutal. I don't know. I'm not really sure, because so often I feel like it's just excuses. But at the same time, I don't know. I have a really bad habit of kind of blaming myself and shaming myself, like feeling like I'm the failure when sometimes there's just things that happen that are just out of our control and there's nothing I can do about it. So, I don't know. I wanted to talk about it because at the end of the day, for myself, I know that there's just a lot of things that just don't work out, and a lot of things that do work out. I just so often, whenever you record videos, you want to show the best of the best. But I mean, I want to make sure that I'm just showing the realities. And unfortunately, right now, I feel very discouraged. And I don't know. I don't feel like it's anything that I did, and I don't feel like it's anything that I can necessarily fix. So it's just that season. It's just kind of a difficult season, the middle of summer. It's really hot. Everything's dying. The pests are just out of control. And yeah, that's just unfortunately my truth right now. And I want to share that with everybody. And hopefully it gets better towards the end of August and we can plant some crops that'll start to grow in for the fall. That's the goal. I think that's something I'm going to really have to focus on is doing amendments for these beds come next season, is just really add probably a ton of compost just to try to add some new nutrition back into the soil, because I feel like the soil is just not very good in terms of nutrition. And then additionally, these dang squash bugs, they are making my life a living hell. They really are. And it's so disheartening being out here because they are everywhere. They're destroying everything. And no matter what I do, it feels like it's just an out of control issue. And this was the same struggle I had last year with the aphids, where I felt like I was fighting, and it was just not happening. And it doesn't always look like it because everything's so pretty and so green and it looks good, but unfortunately I see everything that's kind of behind the greenery. I see all the struggles and the bad stuff, and I know sometimes I'm sure that I can kind of be hard on myself, but it's just my truth right now. It's just what I'm experiencing. So I don't want to put up this false image that everything is well and good, because the reality is that nobody really lives that life. So I'm just going to do the best we can. And then hopefully August and kind of the end of in September, maybe we can get some more produce kind of coming out of this garden. Because right now it's very limited, and I want to say that I'm going to try to fertilize it, but gardening is just one of those labors of loves, I gotta say. And I mean, I think it's totally worth it. It's just very discouraging right now, which that's okay. I'm not gonna let it stop me from trying. I'm just gonna be honest. It's a struggle for sure, but most things that are worth doing are a struggle. So yeah, so that's it for right now. Thank you for watching. I hope you would consider subscribing for future content, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.